Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of the season 3 finale for The Boys. I think it's fair to say the world of the show is never going to be quite the same after this.
No, going into next season, which has been renewed, it just
Yes,
got renewed, is it's going to be a very, very different boys.
I am really excited about what's coming because I think this is a very ambitious finale, but it's
Mm.
also like at the same time, I wonder a lot about like, are certain characters, Queen Maeve, for example, are they just done? Like, are we moving in a totally new direction now with a smaller group than we've had in the past?
Yeah, it feels like some people are kind of wrapped up. So we'll definitely talk about that sort of, the big reveal with Homelander and Ryan at the end of this and sort of how we all feel about that big, huge fight. All of it. So hit that subscribe button. We have a lot of really great stuff that's going to be coming up for the rest of the summer. We're covering Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Andor is going to be coming up a little bit later on. House of the Dragon. We've got, hopefully Succession will be back this year. I'm hopeful. So, anyways, hit that subscribe button and yeah, stick around.
Okay, so I will just start with Soldier Boy. Dude, you in the same spot that you were basically in at the start of this season. It's like we go through all of this and you just off frozen again. Congratulations.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about that because the whole fight sequence,
Yeah,
10 out of 10.
yeah.
This whole ending of everybody fighting, seeing Homelander and Butcher actually both sort of on the same side briefly there with both their lasers. I was like, okay, this is amazing. But we've been set up for a lot of this season with
Yeah.
Soldier Boy being very like raw about his feelings. We even saw him in this episode talking to Butcher with them bonding over what crappy fathers they had and how, he wanted to be different. And now that he knows that Homelander's his son, he doesn't know. Like he's feeling a certain way about things. And I was like, okay, this could be very interesting if they're able to keep Soldier Boy for next season. And even if they're not, it feels like this is what Soldier Boy's been leading towards. He's talked about, he wanted to have a family with Crimson Countess. That didn't work out the way he wanted, but, here's a chance for that to happen. And then Homelander's like, hey, you're my dad. I know you weren't able to raise me or whatever, but like, here's your grandson. I was like, oh, this is the moment that the two of them with Ryan are just going to smoke everybody in some kind of way. And to see Soldier Boy just all of a sudden turn and just be like, you're too wimpy for me. I was like, I don't know, man. It was sort of the I don't know, the writing just wasn't strong enough in that episode for me to believe that he just turned just like that after episode after episode after episode of building up to what Soldier Boy has wanted from decades ago.
This is the problem I have with this finale is that I think as awesome as that fight sequence was
Oh,
across the
so
board,
good.
like, yeah, I feel like this entire fight scene was like the budget of like a lot of other shows combined. And it's just like, okay, this is great, but I don't feel like I ever got a full sense of who Soldier Boy was. Like, I feel like we've gotten sort of bits and pieces in terms of what he wanted, but if what he wanted was a family, and then he's willing to sort of say, okay, if I raised you, maybe things could have been different, but I didn't raise you, Homelander. You ended up like this. You're not strong enough. And like all of this, it just didn't really fully connect to me where they had sort of made Soldier Boy out to be, yeah, this guy defined by vengeance and wanting to get payback on his former team, but they also really kind of made it so that there was like a longing with him, like this
Mm-hmm.
sense of just sadness, and then all of a sudden he is like sort of the ultimate villain at the end of this season who all these different people are fighting against. And yes, Homelander is a horrible person. Nobody is disputing that, but it didn't quite line up with me, and I think we just needed more time with Soldier Boy to really understand for this motivation wise to have worked.
Yeah, they turned Soulja Boy into this ultimate villain in this last episode, but they did such a good job, like balancing him out throughout this whole season, where there were moments where I was like, man, I really feel for this guy. Like, okay, there are longings and things that he's been waiting for. That's why when he finally, even if he felt that way about Homelander and he was like, you know what, you're just not for me. If I had a chance to raise you, yeah, maybe it could have been different, but it's not. So, hello, Ryan. I'm going to take a second chance at this with my grandson. And that's how it was going to end up rolling. But that didn't even happen.
No, none of this happened. Instead, like, the thing that happens here is we get more of a sense of Homelander's attachment to Ryan, I think, in a way that, like, I knew that there was like some tiny element of a heart within Homelander somewhere, but it was always hard to kind of determine, like, is this a pure ego thing? Is this just because he wants to make himself feel better or feel more amazing? But we saw a little bit of something different with him in this finale.
No, I think we saw a lot of something different. The thing that he's also been longing for is love and acceptance and some sort of feeling of family, because he was like, oh man, I was, created in a test tube. I didn't have any family. The person who was kind of the father figure, Stan Edgar, he just like turned on me. None of my team respects me or likes me or loves me. Stormfront loved me. She's gone. Now Soulja Boy is, my dad, and he doesn't care about me. That moment was really tender with Homelander and Ryan, where Ryan was kind of like, aren't you mad at me for what I did to mom, sort of thing? And seeing Homelander sort of just be like, no, this wasn't your fault. Like, it is sort of this idea that he does need to be raised by someone who has sort of similar powers to kind of be like, listen, like, your powers aren't honed yet. Mistakes are going to happen. Yeah, they're going to be big mistakes and you're going to feel really bad about them. But, with my help, maybe we can make it so it isn't quite as bad for you as it was for me. And I was just like, I believe you.
I believe him too. The thing I'm most curious about now is this going to somehow soften up Homelander? I mean, it didn't necessarily seem like it fully based on the end of this episode where we see sort of like, the big protest. Homelander's like introducing Ryan. It's like, oh, look at this, father and son. And then, oh, look, you're killing someone right in front of your son. That's great.
Listen, don't throw a bottle at Ryan. No, it's not. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously never going to be like a completely different person.
Yeah.
But I think he wants to be the protector of Ryan. He wants to make sure that Ryan, grows up with a father, no matter who that father is. And he wants Ryan to know that he's just not going to be abandoned, that if someone's going to come at him, Homelander's going to take care of it, that he's not by himself.
Okay, now it's time to talk about the moment in this episode that I got legitimately shaken up. We knew Black Noir was going to die. That was clear entering this episode. But for some reason, after, Homelander takes down Noir and we see the animated characters one last time and they're sending Irving off, it really got to me. And it was really, I think, surprising in a way, the sort of religious undertone that was kind of there, because that's not something we have really seen explored on The Boys before. And it's this other dimension. I mean, I guess a little bit with Starlight, but it's this dimensioning of this guy we never really knew. And it's here I am feeling so sad for this character who's dead, who has also done despicable, horrendous things over the course of these past few years.
And that's the thing, is we haven't really known anything about him.
Yeah.
Really, until the last episode, where we kind of got a little more background about his relationship with Soulja Boy and, payback and whatever. But we haven't really known anything about him. And this death got me. It got me. I felt so bad. And it was, twofold. I felt really bad for what was happening to Noir, who finally came back and was like, listen, in the way that he was able to say it, basically I'm done running. I'm here. I'm going to kill Soulja Boy with you. I'm by your side. That was too little too late, because I also felt for Homelander, who was just like, did you know this whole time? And Noir's like, I did. For Homelander just be like, Even Noir, who was my guy
Yeah.
that I trusted more than all of you guys, he was my guy and he knew and he didn't tell me, I'm over this. I'm over VOUGHT. If Noir's going to do this to me and he's my guy, then I don't trust anybody anymore. VOUGHT's over.
It's such a roller coaster with Homelander in this episode, where we go from like a moment like that where we understand his hurt and his pain and his betrayal to then like him making Ashley take off the wig is probably one of the most, like, I have been mad at Homelander before. I was so angry at him in that moment. I was like, I hate you so much, Homelander.
Yeah, Ashley's not a great person,
No.
but I was just like, you do not need to just humiliate her or humiliate everyone with his whole, like, Noir was more than all three of you put together, take off your wig. Yeah, that was a tough one.
It's really, really difficult. And, okay, the state of the Seven right now. Let's see. Noir, dead. Supersonic in the Seven for like 2 minutes, also dead. Annie, quit. Maeve, gone. What is left here? You've got the Deep, A-Train, and Homelander. So it's the three.
Maybe Homelander. I mean, there's a part of me that feels like going into the next season that he's just done with them as well. I mean, he is so betrayed by VOUGHT that it just felt like that scene with A-Train and Deep and Ashley where he was just kind of like, Noir was my last, guy that I was really holding on to with this crew. I'm done with you guys. I have my son. People love me for who I am. I don't need VOUGHT or the Seven. VOUGHT has just done me dirty over and over and over again. So goodbye. That's what it really felt like. I think that the Seven is just A-Train and Deep.
What a terrible state for the Seven to be in, because it's like the Deep is probably the closest person now when it comes to like what the original sort of ideals of the Seven were. And the Deep sucks. Like, he's just like not doing anything for me anymore. And I didn't care for his story like the last 4 episodes.
And who knows if the Deep is even going to be able to be part of the Seven anymore either, because his wife is on like a revenge tour of TV talk shows exposing everything. So he may be out too. It may be that the Seven is just A-Train.
Can we talk about how her story is titled In Too Deep? Like the amount of Deep related puns this season.
I live for that.
Yeah, that was great. A-Train is a very fascinating dude at this point too, because he's just sort of like, he's got his powers back, but I think he's a legitimately different person than he was. Like, I think he's been on a real journey where he actually feels some sort of guilt and shame for what he's done in the past.
Yeah, I think he's been on a pretty good sort of self-reflection redemption tour this whole season. I feel very differently about A-Train now, and if he really is kind of, hey, you're the last one standing here in the Seven, he could be the leader of the Seven, and it would be interesting to see if that happened, where he would land. Would he still continue on the way he is, where he's like, you know what? I'm the leader now. I'm actually going to make some kind of a difference now that I have this power. Or is he going to be like, I have power now, revenge on everybody?
That is a legitimate possibility, because we know what these people are with their egos. They go crazy. They go out of control.
Yep.
So, all right, the last, I guess, former member here of the Seven, other than Starlight, who we'll get into, but Queen Maeve, is this it? Like, is she gone? I think she's gone.
I think she's gone. I mean, she had this huge heroic moment where we saw Soulja Boy. He was starting to do his radiation, and then Queen Maeve grabbed him, jumped out of the building with him. I was like, well, okay, he's not gonna die because he's done this radiation, and falling might hurt him a little bit, but probably not. Like, he's not gonna die from this. Is she gonna die from this? I mean, she's extremely powerful too. Like, is this actually gonna kill her or just take her powers? It just took her powers. So now she's like, I'm just normal, living my life, gonna go off with my woman and have a good life. And it's just like, it's sad to see her go, but she didn't have enough story to go forward.
No, I'm happy with this as an end game for her. Like, I actually thought she was dead, because I was thinking, okay, he probably took her powers, but did he take her powers like on the way down? And then by the time she hits the ground, she doesn't have any powers anymore. She's gone. And so I was just so relieved that she wasn't dead, that I'm just like, okay, Maeve, you do whatever you want at this point, and I will support you. I will miss this character, but the show is clearly going in a different direction, and I think they had too many people this season than they really knew what to do with, so I can kind of understand it.
So Starlight's one of the boys. She is now a new member of the boys, and I mean, I'm liking this. This has made sense for a while now, because she really has been sort of on their side since, the get-go. But then we also have to look at what's going to be happening with Billy and Hughie. So Hughie has taken this 24-hour compound V for 3 times, I think he took it. And it was 3 to 5 times and you'll be dead, but 3 times could still have a lot of after effects. I want to know if they're going to talk about that at all next season, because it looks like, Billy's in trouble. He's got like 12 months to live and he's done.
Yeah, I think they got to bring this up for Hughie. If nothing else, like, even if he ends up being okay, like, just having that sort of nagging fear in your head, especially, Butcher, I don't feel like he's going to be the sort of person who comes back to the club and is just sort of like, here's what I got, guys. Like, he's not going to talk about it that much, but over time, I think people will see the lingering effects on him, and I think it's going to be enough to make Hughie legitimately worried and concerned about himself. And emotionally, that will be really difficult. And I'm just excited, though, to see maybe him and Starlight staying on the same page for a change after they continually, each have their own sort of agendas. And by the way, him powering her up with the lights in the studio.
It was so good. Oh my God. I loved that moment where he had the choice to take it again or to help her, and he helped her. I was like, okay, perfect.
That really validated a lot of this season for me, where I was just so annoyed that everybody's getting powers. I don't like this. But then it was okay, here's Hughie, the guy who actually liked really having the powers more than Butcher, actively realizing, I don't need to have powers. I can be useful without them. And instead, I'm going to help this person I love be able to achieve something by acknowledging and even just further strengthening her powers. It was a good sort of moment of release for him.
Okay, let's talk about Victoria, who, started off fairly kind of strong this season and then just disappeared kind of in the middle. Like, they didn't know what to do with her. I think, what you said, there was too many characters and too much going on for that character to have enough to do, which was kind of a bummer, because I thought she was going to be a huge character this season. And then it ends with the sort of the same ending we had last season, where it's and now she's sort of this candidate to be, the next VP with that sort of sinister look. I'm okay, we just had this ending last season, and then this season you didn't really use her.
I'm sure it's getting set up where she's probably going to be the major big bad in season 4, because she'll have a position of greater power. But it is also a situation where I'm kind of wondering, okay, what makes Victoria Newman more threatening than Soulja Boy or anybody else? I know she can make people's heads explode. I get that is a pretty big deal, but it is sort of at the same time, we've seen that you don't even need political power to be powerful within the world of the boys. Mm-hmm. So what is her actual legitimate agenda? That is the big question that I have right now.
Stay tuned to season 4. I
don't want to wait. It's going to be a really long wait, probably. I
know.
I'm thinking on the surface, it's probably just a situation where she wants to eradicate a certain number of soups. I think she wants more power for herself. I think that's a way to do it. And she recognizes the real power is control. She wants to control people. Yep. All right. Kimiko, Frenchie, what is going to happen with these two? It's just I love them, but I want to see them more integrated now.
Yeah, now that the boys seemingly are all together and they have this new mission for next season, which is Victoria, it feels like Kimiko and Frenchie are really on a better path for a better story, because I haven't made it any secret that I was not into the little Nina story.
Yeah.
But I was really interested in the sort of just growth of these two characters, where Kamiko really realized that's not her powers that made her feel bad about herself, killing people, that even when she didn't have them, she was still killing people, but that now it's her choice to have powers or not. And she's got her powers back, and she's feeling really good about being able to protect her family, who is Frenchie. And Frenchie, on the other hand, same sort of thing. We saw him really kind of going down this path of like everybody being like, oh, you're a dog on a leash, and him really kind of feeling like, oh man, I'm still that person. Where Kamiko's like, no, you're not that person anymore. Like, you've moved on. You're a different guy now. Like, just kind of keep on that trajectory and you'll be fine. We're not defined by who we were, but who we, become. And then we saw Frenchie basically tell Billy off to be like, no, I'm not doing whatever. I do what I want.
Here is probably the most ridiculous thing at the top of my wish list for season 4. I kind of want a boys' wedding. Like, there needs to be some happiness for some characters amidst all this cynicism. Can we see Kamiko and Frenchie get married? That would be fun for me.
Pass.
Okay,
I'm interested in that. I love Frenchie. He is my all-time favorite character on this show. I want to see him have some happiness, but that's not necessarily where I need them to go. I think it's because I feel like their love is just so genuine and so strong that I'm kind of like, I don't need anything else from them. They're unbreakable.
They are unbreakable. I think that's just, I'm just thinking, okay, what's something they could do that they haven't quite done before? But I think this show is going to be really creative. I think they have to understand that they have gone really big and really crazy in these first 3 seasons. And rather than just try to top it with more crazy, I think we'll be surprised by season 4. Let's cross our fingers and hope that it's great. Hope that we have a shorter hiatus.
Yeah.
But go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you guys can check out all of our other reviews for The Boys coming up, but also everything Jess mentioned earlier. We have a lot happening at the channel with Better Call Saul, Only Murders in the Building, so much more. We will see you guys here next time.